So what we're going to talk about today is this thing called IR theory. How I feel about myself versus how I perform in my role. And why do you have a smile on back there?
Because I need this today.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, I think everybody in the room is familiar enough with Sandler, but Sandler's methodology was, listen, I don't want the hard sell, I don't like selling. How do we get people to buy from us and make those right connections, right matches? And in sitting with a psychologist to develop the system, I don't know if the IR theory came out of that point, I don't know specifically, but it really is, when we take a good look at ourselves, we've got to be able, and folks that come every week have heard this over and over again, thus the reason we have those little black journals. That's the start of it. We're about 4 weeks in now. But how do you feel about yourself versus how do you feel in your role? And we oftentimes allow our role. How our day went. David went out, had a big opportunity today, didn't close it. For the next 2 days, people are like, Dave, you okay? Not picking on you anyway. And he's going, I had a great opportunity, I lost it. And he's letting it affect. People are still seeing it for a couple of days later. I'm not saying that that's your personality or you. That's pretty natural though, right? We allow what happens at work to really impact our day-to-day behaviors. And sometimes it impacts us enough that we don't do the things we're supposed to do. So Sandler kind of goes into this concept of, boy, we should always feel real good about ourselves. But over time, we've had all this noise. So everybody's got something to write on, or at least jot down a piece of paper. I just want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, nobody's a 0. Scale of 1 to 10, how you would feel. Let's just say you are on a plane, all right? And you sat down next to, I got to use the books, I can't remember anything. Somebody who's pretty young, 30 years old, he's an engineer. All right, so you're in first class. This guy's sitting next to you, 30 years old, engineer, Harvard degree, owns his own business. His wife, he's married, his wife is a doctor, graduated from Harvard. They vacation all over the world. Winter home in Vail. And this guy, he's an engineer. He works for NASA. Okay? So now you're sitting next to this person. On a scale of 1 to 10. What are you landing?
Oh, just nothing.
What are you landing?
Oh, just wait. I had that visual. It's fine.
He's going to say something now. Doesn't say something now. But you're talking really, this super successful guy, multiple properties, the whole nine. Scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate yourself against this person? On a scale of 1 to 10?
How would you rate
How would you rate yourself
against that person?
Against
Is that
that
the way
person.
you're supposed to rate yourself?
How do you feel about yourself with it?
That's like my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't compare myself.
Okay.
Like he doesn't have a veil. It's in the Bahamas, but pretty much understands it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's hard for me because I don't compare myself to people like that.
Okay.
I mean, his success doesn't affect my success, or who he is doesn't affect who I am.
Fair.
I just don't think that way.
But on a scale of 1 to 10, you're talking to him. How?
I'm impressed by a guy like
You're
that.
impressed by him.
Yeah. But that doesn't make me feel insecure, though, or
Sure.
like I failed.
No.
Okay.
I sat next to a guy on a plane who was just like that.
Okay.
And he was asking me for relationship advice because he couldn't find a woman who wanted to stay with him.
Okay, so we got different issues.
Yeah.
But really, I would think, how is it tough to have a conversation with that person?
No.
Probably not tough to have.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
You don't have to. You're not saying anything.
I would probably have.
You might have a tough time. Okay.
Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would have trouble trying to find the connection between my experiences and his. Not playing on the same field
Okay.
in a certain way.
He starts asking, yeah.
Maybe if it was the same field, like, I don't know, if he was an executive producer in Hollywood or something like that, something I would
had as a kid that I wanted to be, and I wasn't. Maybe that'd be able, but it's different fields, like everybody's saying. It's kind of a different story. Okay, let's say he was in your field, but he's carried all those credentials. Right. Multiple homes, multiple properties. We know it's not an issue for you. It's not your cousin. Able to have a conversation with him. He starts asking you about your job, your properties. Everybody's give me a blank stare. Yes, sir. Well, it's a little different. Like a lot younger than people that have all that stuff. So I mean, I'm just kind of getting out of the gate. So I would be like, well, look, maybe someday I'll have, I'm still working to get there. I'm not going to have multiple properties, and while I